Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about describing people, part 2. So last week we did a lesson on describing people where we learned over 25 words that you can use when you are describing people that you see at the mall, people in your family, when you're describing what your friend is like to another friend. And I think these words will be very helpful as you continue to have awesome English conversations and as you continue to learn the English language. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about describing people, part 2. Ambitious. Someone who strongly wants to succeed and works hard to reach big goals. When you start a job, when you're young, quite often you're ambitious. You want to know, how do I get a raise? Like, how do I get paid more? How do I get a promotion? If I am a worker, how do I become a manager? If you think that way, you are ambitious at work. You are trying to figure out the things you can do, the way you can work hard to get into a better position. Ambitious people are often, I was going to say aggressive, but they very much focus on making themselves better so that they can do better at work. So ambitious, someone who strongly wants to succeed and works hard to reach big goals. People who start their own business are often quite ambitious as well. They start a business and then they want to make lots of money the first year, and they work very hard to try and achieve that. Artistic, someone who enjoys creating art and expressing ideas through creative work. Now, if someone's artistic, it doesn't necessarily have to just be painting. Someone who is artistic might be really good at drawing. They might be really good at playing music. They might be really good at painting. They might be really good at decorating a room so it looks really, really good. I'm not artistic. As we go through this list, I would say I'm ambitious, but I am not artistic. I can't draw. I can't paint. My classroom at school is not very well decorated. I often rely on students who are artistic to help me make my classroom look better. But an artistic person is someone who enjoys creating art and expressing ideas through creative work. Blunt. As you know, I do not get into politics here, but there was only one person I could think of when I thought about teaching the word blunt and had to find a picture. Someone who is blunt is someone who speaks very directly and says exactly what they think. So I'm not going to comment too much on this photo, but one of the people in this photo is quite blunt. One of the people in this photo speaks very directly and says exactly what they think. So the opposite, of course, would be someone who isn't blunt, doesn't say what they think. So if I said, hey, what do you think of my shirt? A blunt person would say, wow, that sweater's starting to look old. Whereas someone who's not blunt might say, oh, it looks okay, but have you considered upgrading your wardrobe? So blunt, someone who speaks very directly and says exactly what they think. Brilliant, someone who is extremely intelligent or very good at understanding things. So as a teacher, I would say that in every class I teach, there's probably 2 or 3 students who I would describe as brilliant. They are just extremely smart. When I teach a difficult concept, they understand right away, or they understand some things better than I do as a teacher. So this is a level of intelligence that's very, very high. I would say if there were 100 people in a room, probably 5 to 10 of those people I would describe as brilliant. The kinds of people that get their master's degree or a PhD or work in a field of complex mathematics or some kind of science field that I wouldn't understand. So we have 151 people watching this. That means there's probably 5 to 10 brilliant people sorry, am I insulting the rest of us? Probably. Sorry about that, but brilliant. Someone who is extremely intelligent or very good at understanding things. Competent. Someone who is able to do their work well because they have the needed skills. So the best kinds of coworkers, in my opinion, the best kinds of people to work with are competent people. When you work, like this guy must be competent. In order to, work hanging from a rope on the side of a building, that person needs to be competent. They need to be able to do their work well and have the skills to do it. Otherwise, they would fall and it would be horrible. But what was I saying? When you work with competent people, it makes the job far more enjoyable. For me, there's nothing better than being on a team with other teachers who are competent, and we all do the work we're supposed to do, which is the opposite would be incompetent. It is very, very annoying to work with someone who is incompetent, but competent, someone who is able to do their work well because they have the needed skills. Considerate, someone who thinks about other people's feelings and tries to be kind. So you see in the photo here, someone writing a thank you note. When you do something for someone else, and if they send you a thank you note, we would say they're a very considerate person. After I broke my collarbone, someone dropped off a meal for us to eat so that Jen and I didn't have to make supper that night. That was very considerate of that person. That person was very considerate. So someone who is considerate is someone who thinks about other people's feelings and tries to be kind. Many of you in the chat during these live lessons are very considerate. You help other people understand what I'm talking about. So considerate, someone who thinks about other people's feelings and tries to be kind. Dramatic, someone who reacts to things with strong emotions or exaggeration. I have a funny feeling this is an AI photo that just has that look to it. But the main point of this photo is sometimes young children in grocery stores can be very dramatic if they don't get what they want. I have had this experience myself when my kids were little. I would go to the grocery store with them and they would want a candy bar or a chocolate bar or a candy. And I would say no, like all good parents. And then sometimes my children would be very dramatic. They would yell and scream and cry and try to throw things. And then I would just say, no, don't do that. That's how I would react. But a dramatic adult might be similar. They might not enjoy a decision made by the boss, and then they might get annoyed and say things that they shouldn't say. So dramatic, someone who reacts to things with strong emotions or exaggeration. Distant, someone who seems emotionally cold or not very friendly with others. So let's say you have a friend and you don't really talk to them anymore. And when you try to call them, they don't answer the phone. And when you do see them and have a conversation, they don't really say much. Like they don't really talk deeply about their life. You would say that person is distant, or they're becoming distant. So this can happen in families. You might have a family where there are one or two cousins who are quite distant. They don't really love the family. They don't come to a lot of family things. They are simply kind of, they're still out there living their life, but you don't really know much about them. And when you do talk to them, they don't really tell you much. They just say, life's good. Yep, things are going okay. So distant, someone who seems emotionally cold or not very friendly with others. You might have a coworker who eats their lunch by themselves and doesn't really talk to people, and you would describe that person as distant. Eager, someone who is excited and ready to do something. So this is what I would say most young children are very eager. If you say, we're going to go to the zoo today, they would be quite excited. They would be very eager to go to the zoo. You might have a coworker who's always really eager to do things with other people at work. Maybe you might say, hey, I'm going out for lunch today. Does anyone want to come? And maybe one of your coworkers who's very eager says, oh, I'll come. That would be fun. So eager, someone who is excited and ready to do something. It's a lot of fun working with eager people. Fussy, someone who is very particular and easily bothered by small problems. I did, again, put a picture of a child because we often use this word to describe children who don't want to eat their food. They are very fussy. They only want to eat, like on this plate, Maybe this child only wants to eat the noodles and doesn't want to eat the cucumbers. It's kind of hard to see what else is on there. But we would say, oh, my child is really fussy. And it's not just food. Like maybe they only want to wear the shirt with the cat on it every day. And there are adults who are very fussy as well. There's someone I know, I won't say who likes to have their car completely clean all the time. And he is very fussy about it. He doesn't like it if someone touches the window on his car before getting in, or turns the knob on the radio and gets fingerprints on it. He's very fussy. And I think I'm going to teach the word, no, I don't have the word particular, but we use the word particular as well to describe a person like that. Impulsive, someone who acts quickly without thinking carefully first. So the best example of this would be when you are at the grocery store. And in my part of the world, and I'm sure this is the same everywhere, when you go to pay for your groceries, there's lots of chocolate and candy right there. So you're waiting in line to pay for your vegetables and your fruit and all your healthy stuff. And there's all this chocolate and all this candy. And usually there's gum as well. And if you're impulsive, it means you might just buy something without, you act quickly without thinking carefully first. Like, do I need chocolate right now? No, I just want it. So someone who is impulsive, it's not just about buying food. You might know someone who quickly does things without thinking, and we would say that they are impulsive. Irritable, someone who becomes annoyed or angry very easily. This is also the type of person I do not enjoy working with. Someone who, sometimes people are just in a bad mood. Like nothing's even really happened and they're already annoyed and agitated. And that's how I would describe someone who is irritable. Like if they come to work and they go to make a coffee and there's no sugar left, we have a little place at work where you can make a cup of coffee and they just get angry. They're just annoyed. And it's like, well, just go buy some more sugar. Anyways, irritable, someone who becomes annoyed or angry very easily. So if I work with incompetent, irritable people, I become irritable. It causes me to become annoyed and angry very easily. Long-winded, someone who talks for a long time and uses more words than necessary. You probably know someone like this. I think everyone knows someone who is long-winded. You simply want to know one thing and it takes them 5 minutes to tell you. So maybe you say, hey, do you like your new car? And then you end up hearing a 10-minute story about everything they like about the car and don't like about the car. And you just wanted them to say, yes, it's a nice car. So long-winded, someone who talks for a long time and uses more words than necessary. Teachers, as they get older, sometimes become long-winded because we talk every day professionally. Sometimes in our personal lives, when we get older, we start to be long-winded when we talk to other people. Hey, Bob, how do you get to the grocery store? Well, let me tell you a really long story about how to get to the grocery store. Meticulous, someone who pays very close attention to small details. You can see all of the spices here are neatly organized. They're probably organized alphabetically from asparagus, that's not a spice, down to, I can't think of a spice that ends in Z or Z if you're in America. But meticulous, someone who pays very close attention to small details. You might have a friend who has a really nice car and they're very meticulous. They keep it very clean on the inside. You might know someone who keeps their house or apartment very neat and tidy and clean. We would say that they are meticulous. When you go and see someone's kitchen, if the person is meticulous, the kitchen is very clean, and then it would be a safe place to eat. If the person does not have a clean kitchen, I wouldn't eat there. I'm kind of going off topic a little bit here because I'm seeing some of the chat and it's making me giggle. But meticulous, someone who pays very close attention to small details. Negative, someone who often expects bad results or focuses on problems. So the last lesson we talked about someone who is Well, maybe we didn't, but this is the same as being pessimistic. So when you're pessimistic, you think the glass is half empty. You see everything in a bad way or negative way. So we sometimes say a person is negative. He's a very negative person. He always thinks the team's going to lose in the next game. He never thinks the team is going to make it to the championship this season. He's very negative. So someone who often expects bad results or focuses on problems. The opposite, of course, would be a positive person. A positive person always thinks their team is going to do well and their team is always going to win the championship that year. But negative, you can see this guy, he does not look like a very positive person, and he has the traditional thumbs down, meaning he doesn't like something. Very negative. Nosy, someone who is too interested in other people's private business. So this is a person looking through a keyhole, kind of spying on people. If you actually did this in real life, it's illegal. Like, you can't look through a keyhole to see what other people are doing, but it certainly illustrates the meaning of the word nosy. By the way, it can be N-O-S-Y or N-O-S-E-Y. There's two spellings. But someone who is too interested in other people's private business. So I know someone in my family. It might be an aunt or an uncle or a cousin, I won't say, in case they're watching, but they're very nosy. They always want to know what everybody else is doing. They want to know all the details of their life. They're very nosy. They ask a lot of questions. But the benefit is, if I want to know something about what's happening in my family, that's the person that I ask, because they usually know everything that's going on with all my cousins and uncles and aunts. So anyways, nosy, someone who is too interested in other people's private lives or private business. Orderly, someone who likes things to be neat, organized, and arranged properly. So meticulous and orderly are somewhat similar. I would say orderly definitely looks like this, where all the coat hangers are beautifully hung. They're even like every other color. A teacher needs to be very orderly and very meticulous when they collect student work and then look at it and give them a grade. So orderly simply means that, I'm trying to think, the opposite would be like messy or chaotic, but orderly is very good. If you go to the doctor, you want the doctor to be a very orderly person and examine your eyes and ears and check everything when you go for your doctor's visit, instead of just randomly asking you questions about what's wrong with you. So orderly, an orderly person, someone who likes things to be neat, organized, and arranged properly. Outspoken, someone who speaks their opinions openly and without fear. So I just put some older people here. Nothing against older people, but I have noticed that the older people get, the more likely they are to be outspoken. And you could also say they're blunt. Okay, my mom is very outspoken. She says whatever she's thinking openly and without fear, because she's older. She won't lose her job or anything like that if she says what she thinks. So she's not afraid to speak. Sometimes when there is a protest in a country, the protesters are very outspoken. They say what they think about the government, and they do it. They speak their opinions openly without fear, but in that case, they might be a little fearful. But basically the gist of this definition is that it's someone who speaks their opinions openly, like they're willing to say what they think about certain topics. Popular, someone who is liked by many people. So someone who is popular doesn't have to be a celebrity like Matt Damon. Like, Matt Damon is popular, but in school you can be popular, which means a lot of students know who you are. On YouTube, you can be popular. If you teach English on YouTube and you have a lot of subscribers, you would say, oh, he's a popular YouTuber. So it's not just for people like Matt Damon. It can be for, like, you could just say, oh, he's a really popular person in our town. He might run for mayor next year. So popular, someone who is liked by many people. Picky, someone who is hard to please and very choosy. Again, a picture of a child. I think we had fussy earlier. And picky is very similar. So this child is not eating their broccoli. This child is very picky and they don't want to eat what their parents have made for them. So picky, someone who is hard to please and very choosy. Quiet, someone who does not talk very much and prefers silence. So a quiet person is someone who likes to read books and maybe just have a cup of tea. Someone who is quiet does like other people, but sometimes just likes to sit by themselves and enjoy time by themselves. Realistic, someone who understands situations clearly and accepts things as they are. So if you're a realistic person and someone says, I'm going to sell my used car and I'm going to see if someone will pay $10,000 for it. A realistic person would say, your car's only worth about $5,000. Like, you're not going to get $10,000. I know what people are willing to pay for that kind of car. So again, a realistic person, he is someone who understands situations clearly and accepts things as they are. Shy, someone who feels nervous or uncomfortable speaking with others. So I think in the last lesson we had the word timid. Timid and shy are very similar. A timid person or shy person feels nervous. Like sometimes when people visit, when our kids were little, one or two of our kids would hide because they were shy. They didn't want to talk to the people who were visiting. They were a little bit shy and a little bit scared to talk to them. Talented, someone who has a natural ability to do something very well. So here you see someone playing probably the cello and someone painting. When you're talented, you are very good at doing something. And it's usually something like, it can almost be anything. Like Jen is a very talented farmer. I work with some very talented teachers. There are some very talented actors in the world. So when you recognize that someone is very good at doing something, you describe them as talented. Someone who has a natural ability to do something very well. But I would also say someone who has years of experience doing something, you could describe as talented as well. Unpleasant, someone who behaves in a rude, unfriendly, or disagreeable way. So all of my coworkers are nice. When I give examples of coworkers, I'm not talking about my work specifically, but you might work with someone who is unpleasant. They're just annoying. They aren't kind. They are rude. They are unfriendly. They disagree with everything that you say, and you could say they are unpleasant. You might also know someone who has a child who's very unpleasant. When you visit, the child screams and throws things and isn't very, very nice to be around. We would describe that child as unpleasant. Respected, someone who is admired and valued by others. And usually someone who is respected, you respect the advice they give as well. So if you know an older person who has lived a long life, they might be very respected. And if you're thinking about buying a house, you might go and talk to someone who's respected to get some advice. Like maybe you have an uncle or a father or a mother or an aunt who is very respected. You admire them and you value them. You value what they say. My mom is very respected in our family. We will ask my mom for advice on a lot of different things. Observant, someone who quickly notices small details and changes around them. So let me say that again. Observant. When someone is observant, they notice when someone parks in a different parking spot. They notice when someone gets a haircut. I don't notice when people get haircuts, but some people are very observant. And they say, hey, did you get a haircut? It looks good. So if you're observant, you're someone who quickly notices small details and changes around them. An observant person would say, hey, I noticed the air conditioning's running now instead of the heat. The building must be getting warmer. So observant, someone who quickly notices small details and changes around them.